Who's first? Is Don first?
Yeah, I went first.
All right, why don't you go ahead first, introduce yourself, and just get going.
Okay, so those of you who would like to stick around, my name is Don Melson. I'm the treasurer of North Parish, and the subject of my comments today was going to be the performance of the first half of the year, of the fiscal year, ended December 31st. And for those of you who may have read in the e-news my report for the half and the quarter, that's great. If you haven't, I've got copies in back. If you raise your hand, we can get you a copy. Or if you're at home, you can go and take a look at the church news and find it online. I planned on discussing the detailed variance explanations for the 59 line items on the income statement, but I've been told to cut it short, so we're not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to start at the bottom line, and that is here's a short story. We did well in the first half as an operating basis versus budget. The church is in good financial shape, but we have to be aware of risks and surprises as we go forward. And we'll talk about some of those risks and surprises. Net cash from operations, that's revenues minus operating expenses, is $16,000 favorable to budget in the half. Revenues were $26,000 ahead of budget. Expenses were $10,000 greater than budget. And when you look at revenues, over 90% of the favorability in revenues was from pledge donations, which were $24,000 above budget. Q1 was particularly strong, running $42,000 above budget, whereas Q2 fell below budget by $18,000. Facility rentals were another bright spot, running $8,000 above budget and exceeding the full year budget by almost $4,000. So we're in good shape on facility rentals as we look forward to the rest of the year. Our non-pledge donations and other events ran $4,000 unfavorable to budget. Turning to expenses, spending is running $10,000 ahead of budget and is principally due to the timing of the December payroll. It had been expected to be paid in January, and it actually was paid on December 31st. So we just have a mismatch in the budget, which we should be offsetting in the second half. Overall, we've tracked well against what had been planned in the first half. As a side note, looking at January, pledge donations were unfavorable to budget in prior year, though they seem to be recovering halfway into February. Since expenses generally run at a constant rate, it's important that we make sure that the revenues also come in at a constant rate, so your help in that would be much appreciated. Moving on to investments and liquidity, we ended December with $125,000 of operating cash in our checking account and petty cash, and almost $280,000 in the money market account. While operating cash at the end of December was $15,000 better than last year, it was still $25,000 below our target of $150,000, which represents 3 months of operating cash, 3 months of expenses. The money market account of $280,000 is earmarked as follows. $220,000 is for the Green Envelope project, which we'll be talking about, and $60,000 is to fund our engagement initiatives. We have $1.9 million of investments, including $1.8 million in the North Parish Investment Fund and $100,000 in the North Parish Endowment Funds. North Parish investments are held by the UU Common Endowment Fund that invests in UU-approved investments. At the end of the fiscal 2025, Andover Parish contributed $224,000 to North Parish as part of the consolidation. An additional $6,000 was transferred to North Parish in fiscal 2026. Excluding these additions, the UUCEF investment grew at an annual rate of 13.5%. I have to say that we're very grateful for the contributions of the Andover Parish to our parish. In addition, there are 3 funds held in trust by UUA and not reflected on our balance sheet, and those also come from Andover. They total about $140,000, but they are managed that the UUA distributes 4.5% annual dividend to North Parish, and that totals approximately $6,000, and it goes for 3 different funds: social action, I can't remember, the 3 funds anyways. And they are in restricted funds only for those purposes. Youth is another one. The 3 endowment funds that we have that total $100,000 were transferred to Vanguard mutual funds in 2023. The return in calendar year 2025 was approximately, it's calendar 2025, was approximately 19%. The higher rate of return in Vanguard versus UUCEF reflects the higher short-term risk profile of the Vanguard portfolio. We have more fixed income type investments in UUCEF. We continue to monitor whether UUCEF is the right place to keep our funds, and that's a constant conversation that goes on. In summary, the church is in good financial condition and tracking well against budget. That said, there are always possible risks and surprises. A good example of a surprise is the news this week that in order to restore heat in the new wing, we need to overhaul and install a new compressor in the HVAC system that could cost up to $29,200. Due to the urgency of the situation, the board approved the expenditure this week and work will begin shortly. This expenditure, since the expenditure exceeds 1% of the total budget of North Parish, the congregation will need to ratify the project at a later date. We need the heat. There's not much alternatives, but so we had to go ahead. But our rules require us to get a church approval. Another example of a surprise is the receipt of a large anonymous donation in support of mutual aid for our neighbors who could suffer with issues. Mutual aid for our neighbors who may suffer with issues such as the expected surge of federal ICE agents, food and rent support, etc. In response, the board voted this week to establish a mutual aid fund. The fund will be supplemented by 3 of the 4 weekly Sunday plate donations for the remainder of the fiscal year. However, these plate donations would have normally been recorded as non-pledged donations in support of church activities. The impact on our current year budget, which includes all the plate donations, will be approximately $6,000. So that'll be a reduction of our performance versus budget. Finally, there is currently a $30,000 shortfall in the Green Envelope Project's contingency fund. While alternative sources of funding are being pursued, it's possible that there could be a need for the church to provide some of its investment funds to cover the gap. That's just one possibility. Are there any questions? Okay, Bob?
Good morning. I'm Bob Watts. I'm coordinating the efforts to execute the Green Envelope Project. First, many thanks to Deb Putnam for putting together the fact sheet, which is the basis of this overview. It has more detail and is available as hard copy right here. Now, I want to point out that right here is next to these baskets of chocolate. This is just a little motivation for you to grab the information. It's very helpful. For the past 200 years, North Parish congregations have been privileged to occupy this amazing, historic meeting house. With that has come financial responsibility for its care. After 2 years of extensive pre-construction assessment and planning, to address preservation needs, the Board of Trustees signed a contract to create a watertight exterior, a green envelope. First discussed in the fall of 2022, construction is slated to begin in March, which is 3 weeks from now. And it should be complete in September. Just recently, we heard that by the end of the month, we will have a firmer date. We've got snow, as you may have noticed. That may be a stumbling block. In the interest of time, though, here's a quick overview of the scope of work and the associated costs and revenue streams that will cover it. Again, more detail in the fact. To date, we have spent already $50,000 on pre-construction costs. The upcoming project costs will be $969,650. Yes, that includes a 10% contingency budget to manage changes and unknowns. The contractor is Eagle Restoration and Construction, a roofing and restoration specialist since 1997. They've successfully executed historical period-specific projects across Massachusetts and beyond. The scope of the work is new weather-resistant barriers and battens on the steeple and the Great Pond roadside, new siding, shiplap on the steeple, and clapboard on the Great Pond roadside. Installation of rock wool insulation on all 4 sides, enclosed cell foam and intumescent paint in the areas around the clock and the bell. All surfaces will be painted. Replacement of the finials at the top of the spires will include lightning rods, and rot repair beyond the trivial will be managed using the contingency budget. Funding will come from generous gifts and from North Parish donors and the Energy Efficient Solar Fund, as well as via the Friends of the 1836 Meeting House from a sizable grant from the North Andover CPC and other donations. Current funding commitments total $939,150, leaving a shortfall of $30,500. However, the good news is that there's an opportunity to participate with the Friends of the Meeting House in a matching fund of up to $30,000. Matching fund. So we're almost there. Stay tuned, and please don't hesitate to come to me with any questions and concerns you may have. There will be a website coming up soon, and please feel free to grab one of these at the end of this meeting. Are there any questions that we can jump into right now? Yes, Keith?
You say that the shortfall is 30,000.
Yeah,
Correct?
30,500.
When I did the numbers, it came out at 53,000. Can you tell me what the difference is?
No, I don't know what the I don't know what the
That's $3,000.
Let me look.
Okay?
Offline.
Take a look at the fact sheet, Keith, it does detail out the numbers.
Yeah.
I'll look at it later.
Okay.
Who's next? Is it me?
Sorry.
I'm asking Marcia who's next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
For Janet. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello? Is that better? Hi, everyone. I'm Marcia Cordio. I'm co-chair of the board this year and also members of the Stewardship Committee. So on behalf of the Stewardship Committee, I just want to make a few comments about our upcoming Stewardship Drive that starts March 1st. So that's 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks? Yeah, crazy. So first off, I just want to introduce the Stewardship Committee. So Janet, who's not here today, Bo, yeah, Bo's back there, Adam, and Keith, and John. So we're a small but mighty team, and we'll be talking to you over the throughout the month of March about stewardship. So if you have any questions now or throughout the stewardship campaign, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. I want to share the goal for the stewardship drive this year is $640,000. So that's a bit of an increase from last year, and that's what's needed to meet our budget that we put together for the next fiscal year. So how this shakes out is we have about 288 members in the congregation. So if you just divide that number by the number of members, it's about $2,220 per member. We know that that's not the target that everyone can contribute. Some people can do more, some can do less. So we hope we can all come together to meet that average number. We're going to be kicking off stewardship March 1st. So we'll be, between now and then, you should receive something in the mail with all the information about the stewardship campaign, some of the information behind those numbers, how we got there, what's needed, and then most importantly, how to pledge. So if you'll see, you can pledge online. You can bring your pledge back to church on Sunday and put that in the plate. You can hand us a piece of paper at coffee hour. You can verbally tell us, call us, text us anytime. So there's multiple ways that you can let us know what you'd like to pledge for next fiscal year. We already have some early pledgers. We have about 21 members that have already pledged. And we're already 25% of the way to our goal. So we have $156,000 that already have committed to the pledge drive for next year, which is a great start, but we will need 100% participation. So please, everyone, every member, every little bit counts. Please let us know if you have any questions. Participation is key, for sure. And then on the fun side, we are going to have a theme this year. The theme will be Hope in Action. So we think this really embodies what we're doing across our congregation, the many activities that are going on. And you'll hear more about those throughout the month of March. We will also have some fun opportunities to come together. So we're going to have an end of the month dance party. When is that? 28th of March.
February.
Oh, February 28th. Oh, kickoff. Okay. So that will, February 28th, dance party, be there for sure. We're going to have circle suppers throughout March. We're also going to have other opportunities to share art, share stories, and really it's just a time that we can all come together around hope and action and what that means to us. So please let me know if you have any questions. And with that, I'll pass it to Aaron to wrap us up.
Hi, I'm Aaron Pollock. I'm in my first year on the board, and I'm chairing the Parish Council, and I have the unenviable task of preaching to the choir. You are here, which makes you the choir, so I think a lot of you, this might be redundant, but let me start out by saying we have an amazing voluntary community here at North Paris with a large core of extraordinary people pursuing various passions or lending particular kinds of expertise that the church needs on a regular basis. Construction knowledge, accounting and bookkeeping, law, human resources, caregiving, event planning, fundraising, development, gardening, cooking, social justice work, music, art, production and technology, and teaching. All of that as volunteers. We are lucky and blessed. This is a thriving church in comparison to so many from across the denominational spectrum, across the region, and across the country who have had to close their doors, primarily from their own volunteer corps aging out without replacement. A little side story. I'm a psychotherapist in New Hampshire, and I have a supervisee who's a lawyer, and her job is closing churches. Her attorney job is closing churches, largely in the Lutheran denomination, but that's just how bad it is. I know the people from UUCIA lived it, so I don't want to belabor the point. Let me see what I was going to say. So, as well as we're doing, we still have volunteer needs in key areas, and so this is a request for all to consider how they might integrate more fully into the community through volunteering in a greater capacity. We have critical needs in the following areas. So in May or June, whenever the fiscal year ends, we will have 3 vacancies on the board. So hoping people will consider a board membership. It's not so bad. I'm learning. What else do we have? There's a new Safe Church. We had an incursion into our service in the fall of 2024, and as a result, a lot of folks have come together to consider safety in all its forms, and so there is a safety committee, a Safe Church committee, and that needs members. I think Pat Grimm is probably the best person. Who's the best person to reach out to about that? Okay, did you hear that? We have multiple committees. The Safe Church Committee and the Safety Committee are 2 different things. Personnel, finance, and we don't even have a membership and welcoming committee at this point. We have a committee of Jeff for welcoming, but it is rare that a church operates without a membership committee, and we have not had one for many years now. So these are all the areas that we're going to be in need of going forward. So thank you for your consideration. I think that's going to end the meeting. Farewell and happy Valentine's Day, and we'll see you soon.